Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video, and we're just going to get right into the nitty-gritty of this episode. We are not screwing around today. Some huge reworks in this game. The top two cards that we're going to talk about here with the balance changes that have been announced today that will be taking effect next week. So if you like Poke Timmy Call Girl, you've got one more week to use it, guys. So we've got two huge reworks. Let's get right into it. Also, for the first time in, I think, ever, Red Lynx is giving the reasoning behind the changes to each of their changes of cards, and we'll go over all of that. So this is probably going to be a little bit longer, so we're just going to get right into it again. So Stand of Many Moons, Som, aka, is getting a change. His health is being increased by 17%. His power range is now 3, but units outside of the range will take a half the power damage. He also has a power damage decrease of 20%, and charge duration decreased by 35%. So that means that he will get his charge more often. So the decrease of the charge duration, which means it will come back a little bit more often. It will hit a little bit less, but the range is also not as far out. So description under to match the power. And the reasoning behind this, it's not going to show all of the reasoning here on screen, sadly. Sorry, it got cut off a little bit, but I will read all of it, and I will post a link in the description for all the balance changes and this patch notes if you want to read it more in detail yourself. Stand of Many Moons has power to keep Lightning Bolt, Unholy Combustion, and Transmography as default spells to deal with him with a small rework. The feel as legendary as before, the focus on incentivizing playing Stand of Many Moons as a true fighter. He can still deal damage and some damage to far away enemies, but the closer enemies will take more damage with a faster charge rate. The power will be his default tool in a fight. So obviously, the big thing was Stand of Many Moons. You play him behind the new kid. He works his way to the middle of the field, right? If you have something like Mind Control, you can Mind Control him, take his power away. That blast that Som does used to attack the entire field. It's going to still do that, but it's not going to be as strong to units as far away as it is to units within a 3 power range radius of him. So similar to what most range cards have as far as distance. So it should be within, it'll be within New Kid Zap Kid range, things like that. So he's still going to have his strong explosion ability with his rework, but it's not going to be as powerful as it once was to far away enemies. So it's an interesting tweak. Will this be enough to kind of keep him more at bay? I don't know. This will be interesting to see. But the Inuit Kenny rework, a lot of people were scared of. I actually think it turned out to be just fine. So this will be interesting to really see in grand scheme of things. Now, this is the biggest one by far. One of the most problematic cards in the entire game for a long time has been Pope Timmy. And he's getting a very interesting change. So Pope Timmy now picks the cheapest card from your hand. He will no longer bring back the last unit that fell in battle. His energy cost is actually going down instead of up, so he will be 5 energy cost instead of 6. His attack is increased by 19%, DPS increased by 19%. So his baseline stats are getting increased, his energy cost is going down. But he's not going to bring back the last unit that fell in battle. So, the big issue with this. So the big reason for this that they give, which we'll get to the big default problem with this here in a second. But Pope Timmy for a while has been a very strong synergy with Call Girl, making her a default pairing for him. True. There were no easy and fair options to keep this power while keeping the Call Girl combo in check. Yes, there was. Remove her War Cry the second time. That's all I had to do. That's all I had to do. If Pope brings back Call Girl, take her War Cry away. Problem solved. Or, don't let Call Girl be revived by Pope Timmy. Make her be like Henrietta. Those are 2 options. There was a different change here, in my opinion. Pope Timmy at a different angle. The new Pope Timmy will spawn a card from your hand. The power works the same as Call Girl. However, Timmy will always pick the cheapest ally with the medium cost of 3 energy. If there are multiple cards of that same cost, Timmy will pick randomly between them, giving the new power. Pope Timmy's stats were upgraded so that he will be given value as for energy spent. So this kills Pope Timmy, Man Bear Pig, Pope Timmy, Grand Wizard Cartman. So Man Bear Pig and Grand Wizard Cartman have defaultly been removed from the meta. That's yes, I get Unholy Combustion has been tweaked, but Unholy Combustion can still kill potentially both those cards. Um, yeah, Pope Man Bear Pig is dead. I don't know what else to tell you. Um, I get it. Look, I get it, man. Call Girl Pope Timmy is a huge issue. It has been an issue. I use it. I'm guilty. If you're gonna give us something that's that good, people are gonna use it. It's helped superheroes be very efficient. It has. It's annoying. I get it. I understand increasing his damage output because that's what Red Links has been leaning more towards, making range cards more stronger, right? But have less health. So they didn't actually change his health this time. They just made him do more damage, made him less energy, and make him only pull something from your hand. So this will make playing Pope Timmy much different. Will it kill him away from the meta? A little bit, but not completely. This is the biggest change that hurts Mystical in a long time. In a long time. Even way more than Unholy Combustion did. So this will be very interesting, guys. Sam and Pope Timmy. Two very problematic cards. Now completely different. That's going to be very interesting. Mimsy gets a movement speed increase. Since superheroes were introduced, damage has become the dominant strategy. That's kind of accurate. This has had a particular negative side effect on moving tanks, which would end up losing their health faster than a typical tank should. That's accurate. In this patch, well, since superheroes were introduced, the damage has become a dominant strategy because you made superheroes' baseline stats so much better than all the other cards. That's the reason why superheroes were introduced. Damage has become a dominant strategy. Look, I'm not criticizing I'm not criticizing the change here. I don't really care about Mimsy. Only Haze Demon does, and maybe a few other people. But that's the reason. Superheroes started with the best baseline stats of any theme ever. Look it up. They've been tweaked back and forth. Certain cards have been nerfed, certain cards have been buffed, yada, yada, yada. But overall, their baseline stats have been better than almost any other card, than any other theme ever in the history of this game. That's why damage was a dominant strategy. If you made cards stronger, then they're going to do more damage. Ipso facto, you proved your own point. That's all I'm saying. In this patch, we're giving Mimsy increased movement speed to let him complete his mission faster, which will keep an eye on the impact of the small change, and we look forward to adding more tanks in the future. Into aiding more tanks in the future. Sorry, misspoke. Nathan gets a huge buff. This is a huge buff to Nathan, guys. Attack increased by 33%. DPS increased by 33%. AoE knockback impulse increased by 150%. Attack knockback increased by 25%. This is a huge buff to Nathan. On ladder, maybe not. Definitely in lower arenas. In Team Wars, Nathan is a beast. Nathan will be a man to deal with in the future. I hope you guys have been leveling up Nathan. I might have to level up Nathan now for my Adventure Locked account. This is an insane buff, guys. We are also looking into our mortar units who attack slowly and from very far away. Now remember, he's hitting harder, right? His attack speed is still pretty slow. But the reason for that is because he also has an AoE attack and knockback every time he hits. So it would be insane to make him attack really fast. Even if you use something like Hyperdrive or Warboy Tweak, he still can be dealt with. So, but this is still interesting. What a better target than Mimsy's friend Nathan. Nathan will now be able to cause more destruction with his attack, causing increased knockback to all targets caught in the bomb area. Additionally, an attack damage buff should get him closer to the standard we have introduced with recent Rangers. Remember, the focus with range attack units is to make them do more damage. And Frontier Bradley gets similar treatment here. His health is decreased, attack increased, attack buff decreased by 20%. So the attack buff has been decreased So he's not going to be giving as much boost to fighter units. His base attack for himself has been increased by 33%, and his health has been decreased by 21. Frontier Bradley has been hard to deal with at lower ranks. With these changes, we are aiming to make the fighter buff less oppressive for long-range players, for lower-ranked players, while giving tools to higher-ranked players in the form of attack damage buff. So Frontier Bradley will be a little bit easier to deal with. Ironically, he's on my overlay here today. So yeah, Frontier Bradley getting a little nerf. I'm okay with this. I am. I use him on my Adventure Lock primarily, obviously, because he's so efficient. But it doesn't make the attack buff go away. It's still there. It's just not as strong. So, but it still has the AoE. The AoE is not being dealt with. So we'll see how this kind of turns out. Ice Sniper Wendy's getting a nerf. Interesting. Time between attacks increased by 11%, so she's going to attack slower, and her DPS is going down 10%. Recently, we gave Ice Sniper Wendy tools for her sniper fantasy. However, made her power less useful as she could deal with her targets without it. Correct? Now the time between her strong attacks takes as long as her freezing power, giving equal incentive to choose the power over attacks. Okay, so people were using her as an actual baseline sniper rather than her using her actual ability. Okay. I'm very intrigued to find out where Red Lake's got this data to prove this fact. Not saying that they can't find a way to get this data. Obviously, they could see how everyone's been playing her to some degree. That's interesting. That's an interesting change. I don't know about that one. I don't know if that one's necessary. I cannot speak today. This was a bad time to record a video when I can't talk, especially when all I'm doing is talking. Yeah. Okay, I don't know about that one. Does anyone play Ice Sniper Wendy? Do you have any thoughts, feelings on that one? Because I have none. Two more changes to go, guys. President Garrison, aggro range decreased and attack range decreased. Last round, we adjusted the way melee attackers work. Yes, Nelly was nerfed into the ground, amongst others. Attack range work. We forgot to our dear President Garrison. He will also have an easier time getting more enemies with his area of attack. So his spin attack is going to be a shorter area, which means he'll hit more units close to him. This doesn't make President Garrison better, trust me. I don't know. I'm not saying it makes him worse. This does not make him better. Man Bear Pig, aggro range decreased as well, knockback decreased as well. AoE knockback added. An AoE knockback added. Look, Man Bear Pig died. I don't think an AoE knockback, which goes from 0 to 100, which, by the way, is as good as Nathan's now. Nathan went up from 80 to 100. Interesting. So he doesn't hit as far in front, but he now knocks back. And his attack range got increased by 40%. So his attack has more range. This one hurts my head. So the cone is still the same. It's been decreased a little bit, so it's not as far. But now he will knock you back, and his attack range has been increased. So he can hit from farther away, can knock back. Obviously, won't knock back new kid, only units. And interesting. Okay. The area attacker changes also have unintended side effects to their aggro ranges. This should make Man Bear Pig behave a little bit better in a fight. We will look into Nelly and Super Craig as well for the next round of balance changes. So they might be changing Nelly and Super Craig back. Or change them slightly. Not back to normal. Change them slightly. So, there's a lot to digest here, guys. The big things, obviously, are the top two cards. Psalm and Pope Timmy. A lot of changes there. Mimsy gets a buff, sort of. Nathan gets a huge buff, in my opinion. Frontier Bradley a slight tweak. Ice Sniper Wendy a slight tweak. President Garrison a slight tweak. And Man Bear Pig a buff? The AoE knockback is no joke. But yeah. I, I think the Pope Timmy could have been handled differently, in my opinion. I know I stated that earlier. It was definitely needed. Pope Timmy needed a change. I am by no means arguing that. I don't know if this is the way to go about it. Remember, all these changes will be subject to change in the future again. I mean, we saw Jesus get changed how many times? So don't take all of this information and think that this is permanent. It's going to be permanent starting next week for a little while, but it could change again. I'm okay with Psalm's change. I really am. Standing Many Moons change is fine. Pope Timmy's to me is a mild question mark because it really affects a lot of things other than just Call Girl. It really does. And Pope Timmy's okay. It was fine to deal with, even with Man Bear Pig and Grand Wizard Cartman. Knowing that someone had a beefy tank, it really changes Pope Timmy for Team Wars even as much, if not equally more, than it does on Ladder. This will be interesting, guys. I wait to hear the slew of comments that I'm going to get about these changes. Remember, I didn't make these changes, guys. So I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, please. But yeah, your thoughts and feelings down below in the comment section as always. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a lot to digest, but you know, I'm here for you guys. Again, if you want to read all the patch notes and all the changes, including what this week has in store for us on Phone Destroyer, the patch notes or this dev update link will be in the description of this video. Thank you guys for watching again, and you know who it is. Until next time.